Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Celeste. It is time for the final two B-sides of the game. The Summit and the Core. Or No More Running and Say Goodbye, respectively. Much like in the regular version of the Summit, we have to make our way all the way back up the mountain again. This goes so far that if you go to level select and select this chapter, the section select actually has the exact same names, which is the height of the mountain that you've climbed, which starts at 500 and then goes to 1,000, 1,500, and so on. You know the deal. You've seen the regular version of the Summit, I take it. Even if you're somehow watching this without having watched the rest of the LP. And yeah, this is really hard. I'm kind of amazed I did that first try, to be quite honest. And before every B-side, I actually did play through the level once on an already completed file, just for practice's sake, to refamiliarize myself with the layouts and everything. And normally I do worse in my live run. Especially here. I somehow completely forgot what to do, even though it's not that difficult. To be fair, you gotta figure it out first here, because this is one of those a bit like a puzzle challenges. And I'm almost a bit worried that I make these seem too easy sometimes with how many deaths I have to cut out for the sake of just keeping the flow going. But, you know, that's why I include the death counter at the end of every video. Only this time will actually be the in-game one. And this room is actually very similar to a room in the main version of this chapter. And no, that wasn't a checkpoint just there. Normally you'd expect this to be a checkpoint, but it isn't. It goes without saying that this chapter is incredibly long. And when I mentioned in the chapter 6 video, or rather the second B-side video, that is, I mentioned that chapter 6 is where it's about to get real. Now, shit is still in the process of becoming real here. It's not quite real yet. We're getting there. Slowly, steadily, but we're getting there. And I'm always happy when I see this. The chapter 2 gimmick is just, I don't know, I love it so much. I can't help it. I think most people find it really fun. Just, you know, it feels like flying. And these here aren't even too bad, to be quite honest. They probably expected us to make use of the jump at the end, but hey, we didn't do that. Didn't have to do that even. It would have made things easier though, I would guess. And that right there is probably the most difficult room of this particular section. But we did it. But we are, unfortunately, already almost at the end of the old site section. Ah well. Let's prolong it by dying. All of these sections aren't exactly what I would call short. It's just that with me already knowing them, having played through them several times before, that they just go by much faster, because I can clear them faster. If this is your first go around at this game and you're attempting the B-sides, this will take you a while. I think I was in this chapter alone like for an hour or so maybe, which funnily enough is also what it took me when I played chapter 7A for the first time. You know, I didn't really like the remix of this song, mainly because it completely changes the mood of the level to something, you know, else, but it's kinda grown on me since. It's kind of amazing how many people hate this gimmick. I mean, it is my least favorite gimmick out of all of them. But some people just straight up hate Chapter 3 for, like, having this gimmick. Which I don't get. It's not as fun as the others or as inspired, but I still think, even though it can sometimes make things less fun by making you wait, it's still fun. And the levels are really well designed. Yes, the Golden Ridge. I mentioned that this is my favorite chapter to do as a speedrun because it's easy to find improvements. What with all of this dumb stuff you can do with these clouds where you just kind of do a dash jump on them. If you have the game and don't know what it does yet, I just encourage you to try it just to find out how finicky that is. And this is what I was talking about when I previously said that I would really like to see these kind of auto-scrollery levels just get some more day in the limelight. Because this is just really cool with these springs on it. But maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe that's just a thing I really like for some reason. And boy, that particular part here was really hard. I can't believe I actually did that on my first try. And this part too, kind of finicky. You actually have to press the jump button at almost the last possible moment to get that height out of it. And once more, you have to let these dash blocks kind of punch you almost, instead of holding onto them and then do your thing. This allows you to keep some more momentum from your dash too. If you're like dashing upward, you will go higher. I don't think I've pointed this out yet, but the dash crystals also refill your stamina. Which, considering that a lot of these challenges really make you make use of all of your stamina in order to get where you need to be, that's kind of a good thing. Because normally you don't really think about that aspect of it. And now we are on our way to the summit, finally. I mean, we've been on the way, you know what I mean. But where in Chapter 7A we got a 30 countdown with a checkpoint flags, here it's more like 20. Still, it's a good deal. It's a long section. And the checkpoints, of course, are spaced a bit more. Which means it's probably about as long. If you consider it's also harder, then it's definitely longer though. And this is really fucking fun, I can't even say. Alright, let's go. The wind is blowing us up. Not in the sense that we're exploding, you know exactly what I mean, but we all just explode because we died. And every time there's pink clouds. Well, first time around I almost kind of cried. Because they are much less forgiving, they just dissipate after their first bounce. But yeah, now it's kind of fine. But really, it wouldn't really hurt the game too much to not have those. Especially in this section where bouncing off of them, even just using the normal upswing would kill you and throw you into the spikes. So you wouldn't bounce more than once anyway. I mean, maybe you should buy some time, jump back into them, I don't know. Something you could do for sure, but... hey, doesn't matter. And these jumps are really tight. So I've shown you plenty of deaths, and I will now encourage you to look at the in-game timer versus the video time. Yeah, it's that much of a discrepancy, I died that much. And oh, here we go. Upward dash jump, we just learned it. We could have used it all this time along, and in fact I did, but as a new player you wouldn't know this, and now all of a sudden you have to really use it. In ways that are tougher than what we actually did in the main game. But even with this skill kind of now being forced to use it, there's still ways sometimes to get through rooms easier. And they sure like to just bump my head into these blocks. Look, we're supposed to do a dash, upper dash jump here, but instead I'm doing a hyper dash. Delayed, of course, to maintain my dash, but you know. And number 1. Let's climb the home stretch. But of course, it does not end just yet. Alright, higher even than the summit. Mountains are for chumps. Let's move on to the heavens. And apparently there's music here. This is probably the hardest rhythm platforming thing in the game. Maybe. I could be wrong here. I could be overestimating it, I don't know. But it certainly feels like it should be the hardest. Especially with me messing it up here. And here we go, we did it. We climbed the mountain and went even higher. But of course, there's still the core. And the music for it is beautiful. I'll shut up for a bit. And yeah, we need all the hearts so far. So in this level, we go through what is the amped up version of a chapter that I already feel was harder than, say, the first 4 B-sides. And now it's on steroids. It's really, it's good, I like it. It's probably my favorite of all the B-sides. Except for chapter 2, of course, for obvious reasons, but I don't wanna just, you know, be that biased. Well, I am, but hey, I need to be fair somewhat, at least. There's usually something extra that you're expected to understand about all of these mechanics the levels have. Here, for these core blocks, it is that, yeah, you have to actually kind of time your jump correctly in order to make sure that you are not just, you know, thrown into spikes. You also need to position yourself better on these things, because if you say climb too high on one, you will actually be propelled at almost like 45 degrees, which is too much for a lot of these challenges here. I almost did that first try. You know, when cutting out deaths, I try to make a point of basically showing them in increments. Like, if I die repeatedly in the first section, I'll only show you the first death there, and after that I will move on to the next part I die on. Just, you know, to give you a bit of an idea of the ways that you can die. There's many. It's amazing how many of these things I did basically on my first try after kind of overcoming that first hurdle that really kind of tore me down. Okay, so you don't have to do this, but I recommend destroying as many of those things as possible because it'll make this a bit easier. See, that's what I mean. If you climb too high, you might get thrown into lava. That is somehow floating in midair. But it's okay, it's just a video game. Also kind of a magical mountain or something, I don't know. And here we get some gimmick from every level. Kind of interesting that they throw that in here. And I'm not gonna lie, the first time I went through this chapter, I kind of forgot about the upward dash jump at this point. I mean, I didn't forget about it, I just thought, okay, yeah, no, I used it, why use it now? But of course, you are promptly reminded that you have to use it, because you wouldn't be able to proceed otherwise. And I really appreciate that they let you fall here forever. Unless, of course, you fall into spikes. And yeah, our dash does reset again now. It only doesn't for the main bits of the core. Alright, we did it. We cleared all of the B-sides. So the bonus chapters just kinda complete. And since none of them have strawberries or anything, we've technically 100%ed them also. But oh, of course, there is more, and this is where shit gets real. Now, the seasides are exactly what you think they are, and the golden strawberries, they're just strawberries instead of chapters. And essentially, you have to carry them through the entire level in order to achieve them. So, essentially just go through the level without dying is the thing, that's what you have to do. And you restart at the start of the level again if you carry the strawberry and die. But yep, seasides. Up next. they're all very short, so I will squeeze them all into one video. But let's first look at our stats. They might not match up with the numbers that I gave at the end of every other B-side video, but that's just because I did some additional stuff here just for fun that I didn't show. And now we have all of the crystal heart. Well, we have all the crystal hearts here, let's put it that way. And we can rearrange them, write our own poem, but as far as anyone knows, there's nothing you get for it, and Matt Thorson himself said, nope, there's nothing. Which is a bit sad, because I wanted there to be more game after the Seasides. But oh well. That's it for now, because next thing we actually will see the Seasides. So, see you then.